Oh, look at my forehead.
Oh, well, we look about the same today. I was debating whether to do a ponytail.
Yeah, but your forehead is not reflecting the light.
Oh, well, I got light behind me.
Powder on.
You look fine. You look beautiful. For the audience, Elizabeth Lee Beck has joined us today. My name is Sarah Friels. I am an activist, and I make memes and graphic design, and I try and find new and creative ways to share content provided by Elizabeth Beck and her husband and the lawsuit, and from WikiLeaks. I make memes out of things that are important, things not being discussed on mainstream media. But this specific live stream, I want to give Elizabeth, you distracted me here.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You look good. No, you look fine. My main purpose for this was to give you a voice, and to my main reason for a DNC fraud protest is to help you guys and to be your reinforcement. Share your content. I make memes out of quotes from you guys like all the time. So no matter what happens with the lawsuit, we're supportive of you. You have been so inspiring to me, and I get so nervous in front of the camera, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to speak with you. Can you give us an update, first off, on the DNC fraud lawsuit, like where it stands right now?
First of all, I want to say that I'm so happy I'm a source of some of your memes. I know you had a lot of fun with that CNN appearance. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh my God, I did.
Was that you, Elizabeth?
I was cracking up for days.
Were you the one that commented, I actually think I saw her face move a little?
Yeah.
Was that you?
I think it was.
Because, I think she probably had a lot of plastic surgery, and you could almost see her face move a little. The anchor. What's her name?
I don't even know her name. I don't. Brooke. Well, a lot of these mainstream media people, like, their only job is to distract, to deflect, and
I think their job is not to get fired, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't want to get fired, so tell me what woof, woof,
Yeah.
You want me to jump through that hoop? I'll jump through that hoop.
Yeah, but it's like, we have to acknowledge that the people that are sharing news on the TV, they care more about their job and the money that they make than actual true information. Like, they're not like, they don't do their own research, and they don't report what they feel adamant about. They just report what they're given. So I was actually go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was actually really surprised. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I was very surprised when Trump said on his Twitter, he said that, basically, I'm paraphrasing, the way to beat fake news is to not censor fake news, but to let everything out and let people hash it out, and provide something better. Like, so that was like the only time where I've actually agreed with Trump on anything. But I do say that it's very important for us right now to unite with specifically Trump supporters. And a lot of people would hate me for saying that. But I appreciate that you and especially Jared on Twitter, that he's advocated for uniting the citizens together, rather than uniting within a party. So where do you stand? I know where Jared stands, but where do you stand on the political spectrum? Like, have you given up on politics, like on supporting candidates? Like,
well, my foray into politics was extremely short-lived. I was like a dog that finally, said, I think I might put my paw on that stove, and I did, and I got burned. So I'm kind of done.
Oh,
I
feel the same.
Well, my foray into politics involved becoming a little bit active as like a voter and doing phone banking and all that stuff. And, you know, a lot of people did that. I know a lot of people did that. They trooped through my office. Well, that's about it. I think that, you know, politically, and this is just theoretical because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think it matters. But politically, I guess I'm a lefty. But it's really irrelevant because, you know, I think if elections are not dependable, then that's like somebody that's like somebody in like North Korea or Nazi Germany saying, "Oh, this is my political belief." Who cares? It's completely irrelevant because there's no way to the one way that we were told that we can implement our political beliefs was through the voting process. And once I realized that that is severely compromised, it's almost like foundational issue. It's a foundational issue. So I've decided that I'm not going to vote. I don't blame anybody else for going out and voting. It's your time. You do what you want. I'm not going to vote.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah, individual candidates really don't mean anything to me anymore because I'm like, well, you know, I know you're not going to get elected unless the system, I mean, what we want doesn't really matter. So why are you asking me for my opinion through voting, right? Because voting is an exercise of your opinion, but you don't care about my opinion. So why the hell would I tell my opinion to some entity that doesn't care about it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of not wasting time. That's why I'm not going to
vote. I may raise your blood pressure with these next topics, but it's good. It's good to get this out. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let's talk about the DNC sheepdogs. And I know you know what this means, but just for the viewers, a DNC sheepdog is essentially somebody that supports the establishment and tricks people into thinking they're not the establishment and herds people to the Democratic Party. And in the Podesta emails, we saw that literally on paper, like Andrew Gillum, he's associated with astroturfing. I'll put the link below in the video, but do you know what I'm talking about? What email I'm talking about?
No.
This one.
I don't pay attention to politics.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
You probably know a lot more than me on that.
Yeah, we actually need to get together.
You know, you're an independent journalist.
We need to get together, and I need to show you everything that I have because you might be able to use it for something in the future. I'm just saying.
Toilet paper. Everything political is like.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I saw a tweet from the other day, and she said she was thanking a voter, a Democratic voter, for the idea to go to Rikers Island and register voters. What do you think about the DNC needing to go to Rikers Island to get voters to be registered? Like, they're literally going to prisons and asking for people to be registered. Like, and then she went on Twitter and she said, thanks, you know, dude, for this suggestion. And it's showing that, hey, look, we're listening to you. But it's, to me, it feels like two birds with one stone, like doing something for themselves and then giving credit to their base for coming up with the idea. And I'm like, they do these self-serving things, you know, time and time again. And then they say, oh, look, this benefits you guys, but it doesn't, because I feel that, you know, this system is totally corrupt. You guys alone have proven that the DNC is not held accountable for their own actions and their own words and their own emails. So, okay, let's pretend that you win your case against the DNC. This is wishful thinking.
We lost though, Sarah. I have to emphasize that. I think people pin a lot of hope on this lawsuit. It got dismissed, and as any lawyer will tell you, so the DNC fraud lawsuit is a class action lawsuit that was filed 2016. and you know this, but just
Yeah.
a little bit of background. Our law firm, with others, were hired to file a class action lawsuit, primarily on behalf of Bernie donors, folks who donated campaign donations to the Bernie campaign on reliance that the Democratic primary of 2016 was fair and unrigged. And of course, documents came out, Guccifer 2.0, WikiLeaks showing that there was, to put it mildly, some skullduggery afoot. So he filed the lawsuit and it got dismissed. And I won't go into all of the things that happened between filing and the dismissal, namely
I'm sure there's a lot, yeah.
Sean Lucas, you know, Seth Rich, and some other stuff. But the case was dismissed on standing. So the judge didn't say, oh, I don't see a case. He said, this case doesn't belong in this federal court. That's the issue of standing. So we've appealed that very narrow issue to the 11th Circuit Court of Federal Appeals. There's a hearing set in the appeal in Miami for September 25. It's open to the public. Anybody can come and listen to what they call oral argument.
They denied you guys to record it, didn't they, the video?
Yeah, I have to say courts generally are very, they're not, well, they shouldn't be. They're not reactionary. So if the 11th Circuit has a policy in place of recording the audio for hearings, but not video, but every court is different. The 9th Circuit Court of Federal Appeals, that's the one that encompasses California. The 9th Circuit actually, I believe, live streams oral arguments, so you get video and audio. Some courts don't do, I don't think they do anything, if memory serves me correctly. So our circuit, the 11th Circuit, which includes Florida, they have started to release audio only. So we asked the court to grant us permission to allow live streaming of the oral argument, to include video as well. And they said no. I felt that it wouldn't hurt to ask, although I have to say, you know, if you were to ask me what are the chances of that request being granted, I would probably say more likely than not the court would not grant it, because courts do not like to change their procedure in place. That's not to say, Sarah, that someday in the future, the 11th Circuit may live stream and follow the 9th Circuit, but they're going to do it within, you know, in accordance with their own procedures. And they're going to once they do it, they'll probably do it for all cases, not make an exception.
Oh, good.
But the audio will be available.
I'll definitely make memes out of that if there's anything that's worthy. Okay, so let's talk about censorship. Have you or Jared personally? Oh yeah, have you or Jared personally? I know he's talked about shadow banning. Can you kind of explain like exactly what that is? I have only a little bit of experience with that.
So this is an interesting topic. So Twitter. Some people are on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. So I learned what shadow banning is. So I have gotten temporarily banned on Twitter for using curse words, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or was it politically related, or was it just cursing about something else?
No, I was telling some people to, you know, I was just using some profanity. And then I think they mass reported me. So I got put into Twitter jail for about a week, and then I think there were several times when my Twitter account was limited. So my understanding of that is when I tweet, only my followers see my tweets. But in all those instances, I may not have agreed with it, but I was notified that my account was getting penalized for something. Shadow banning, on the other hand, is something completely different. So my understanding of what shadow banning is you have your account, and this is interesting. Twitter probably knows more about shadow banning than I do, but they limit your account so that other people don't see your tweets and you don't come up in searches, I believe. but they don't tell you that they're doing this. So it's all behind the scenes. So if Twitter is going to come out and say that they are an open forum for the free exchange of ideas, but behind the scenes they shadow ban people, that is in direct contradiction to what they are telling people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
people they're going on Twitter, they're spending time, they're tweeting based on this representation by Twitter, and it's not true. Obviously, shadow banning, I make a distinction between shadow banning and outright banning, because in outright banning, Twitter tells you. So Twitter is saying, well, we have an open forum for the free exchange of ideas or what have you. But if somebody gets out of control, we're going to block you. That's part of our stated policy for creating a civil environment. Now, you may or may not agree with that, but if they block you or kick you off, that's different from the shadow banning practice where they don't tell you that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And Sarah, the reason they're doing it is actually, it's apparent. I'm interested to know what the Twitter's algorithm is for shadow banning people, but it doesn't seem to be based on anything but politics.
I think it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm more familiar with the Facebook censorship, like for the past 3 years. I mean, I've screenshot every single time that I was, my account was disabled or hit a checkpoint or whatever, because I've been trying to document exactly how it's happening, when it's happening, why it's happening. And so we've actually created a Discord channel. I don't know if you've used Discord before, but it's like a gamer chat. And it works really well for the Unity for J movement. So we've created a channel called Unity in the Community. And so we invite, as much as we can, we invite censored media and censored activists to come there. So when they get censored, whether Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, they can go there. We have a channel for each platform, like YouTube, Facebook, and they can document and share with other people how exactly they're being censored, when, why, and how. And then we can, we're kind of getting a better idea of how many people it's happening to, So I'll put that in the link below too. But I wanted to get your opinion on my Facebook censorship and maybe what you thought about it. We can maybe talk later if you want to. But they've repeatedly disabled my accounts. People were reported not seeing my content. My comments were being deleted. My content has repeatedly been labeled as spam, and then they automatically remove it. Or what's even worse, they'll make me click the link to remove it myself. Like they'll say, this is your job. You click this link and delete your spam, and they won't let me access.
It's so strange to me because, when you were on Facebook and I've looked at some of your memes, I mean, you're not on there screaming at people and calling them names. I mean, you're very outspoken. You don't call people, fucking idiots,
Now I have got
suck my, what. I mean, there are people like that.
Yeah.
But it just seems incredible that you of all people would get banned on Facebook because you.
Not just banned, but now it's to the point where this happened after I was permanently banned on all my IP addresses. I mean, I tried using my tablet, my phone. I've tried using everything, and it kept having the same response on all my devices. So I knew that something was wrong, And then I tried my neighbor's computer a few weeks later, and it worked perfectly first time. But the reason that I feel that it's politically motivated was because it was literally within 24 hours of me posting. It's always within a few hours of me posting anti-DNC content. And it's
when you say anti-DNC content,
I mean like me at a protest, or me confronting Nina Turner, or
well, did you like curse at Nina Turner? Did you punch her? What did you do?
Well, what happened was it was called Take Back Tennessee.
I know you didn't punch her. I'm just asking.
And we went there, and I worked for like weeks putting together questions to ask her, like serious questions, pinpointing what, about the fraud. And then I also brought a document from the Podesta emails to show her, explaining that our revolution is not what we think it is, and showing her the documentation that led me to believe that.
Our revolution strikes me as a little bit of a mafia wannabe. I gotta be honest with you.
I mean, they've literally told their supporters. They've told their supporters that you cannot protest Clinton. That's or any Democrat. Like literally, that's their message. Is that you cannot.
I know this. God, I hope they don't do anything. I have always gotten the sense that people who are running our revolution, they're a wing of the Democratic Party. I have always gotten the sense that they are not so much interested in reforming the party. What they're really pissed off is they're the ones that are not in power. So they just want to take over the party, but they're not really.
I think they want to help the party. I don't think they want to reform it. I think they want to rebrand something that they know is owned and controlled by Hillary Clinton and her supporters. Like personally,
the fact that when I see our revolution, some of the tactics that they do, like for example, the fact that they mass report you, like a gang of goons, my suspicions are starting to get borne out. I think they're like a little bit of a little gang.
I think they're like a little cult, like a little progressive cult. Like they can't fathom the idea of opposing the Democratic Party without trying to reform it. Like they see me as an enemy, and so they feel, because I don't support Bernie, that in his efforts to rebrand the Democratic Party, and then on top of that, do it on our dime. Like I donated to Bernie. I promoted Bernie every day. Like he broke my heart. He did. Like I don't waste my time, moping over him anymore. The day of the primaries, I, said, this is it. I'm done with you. Nobody progressive would support Hillary Clinton, in my view. So
He's such a weenie.
I feel like to start a real revolution, I feel like we need to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not coming back to your party. If these progressives want to continue doing what they do, if they want to continue, doing the same thing that doesn't work over and over again, I can't physically stop them from doing that. But a whole aspect of the DNC fraud protest is to draw a line in the sand and call their bluff. Like all these people like Tim Canova and Nina Turner, like calling their bluff. If the DNC is as bad as you think it is, then you would support us to shut down their party and educate people rather than gaslighting, shaming people for not supporting the Democratic Party. I mean, I feel like there's so many people, including the mainstream media, that give the Democratic candidates a platform. I feel like it's our duty to give people that don't have that platform a voice. And so that's why, like, the DNC fraud protest will give people the microphone and say, here, say whatever you want to say. We're outside the headquarters or wherever we're at, and I'll say, speak, say whatever you want, because we are showing people what a real protest is versus what, like the Women's March, the Pussy Hat March and stuff. Like, that's not real. It's not real when you have permission from, all these candidates and all these police officers that are joining arms with you. That's not a revolution, You
have a very good bullshit meter.
I do, but I've done my research. When Clinton said, do their research, I did. I spent, weeks and weeks and weeks combing the Podesta emails. And, one of the best things that Julian Assange has said is to notice within the Podesta emails that to see how the DNC works, see how they work together, see who they collude with, see how they manipulate the media, manipulate their base, and not just what they're doing, but see how they work together, and Jared, made a really good point the other day, and I agree with it. Tell me if you agree that the only way to stop the duopoly is to break the parties up and to go after one and then go after another. Like, don't go after them the same
He said
time.
that?
He did. I think he did. Pretty.
God.
I agree with that. Do you not?
I'm not saying I don't agree with it.
What do you
I
think?
agree with it. I agree with it.
I mean, I've been saying it for years. I think just rationally, and I think that's why these Democrats are telling us that we can't unite with Trump supporters, because believe it or not, Trump supporters are anti-establishment to some degree, and I think that they want us to not unite with Trump supporters so we won't be able to gain.
There's a little bit of bigot sprinkled in there, but
yeah, there is, and. But I think everything will come out in time if we work together, and I think that lost my train of thought. But I think we just need to focus on working together. And let me see what else we got.
What can we agree on? So Hillary Clinton actually said to do the research. She said that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. You know why I was smiling? You know when cops pull people over and they're like, you know, what's that in your car? And,
oh yeah, I live in a legal town, so like I get pulled over a lot. I think it's because I have duct tape on my car, but
oh no, but the thing is, like, it's always this is sort. I'm sure people in law enforcement can confirm this. But you pull somebody over or you catch somebody, and you're like, can I search your car? And they're like, oh, go ahead, I got nothing to hide. And then you go in there and it's like full of shit, you know? It's like, yeah. So when Hillary Clinton says, oh, do the research, you're like, you start doing the research and all this shit comes out.
No. But see, that's the thing with the Democratic Party. Like the hypocrisy is never ending. It is never ending. They are their own worst enemy, though. Like you can't. Reforming the DNC is like saying, let's reform ISIS. You know, you don't do it. You don't do it.
You know, I'm not even like saying, oh, you know, I supported Bernie in the primary, but you have to understand, and I think people, they lose sight of these distinctions. I was fully prepared come November, okay, to go to the polls and vote for the Democratic candidate for the presidency like I have done my whole life. So I'm a loyal Democrat. I didn't really think much, and I was just like, whoever it was, I was prepared to do that. Even if Bernie lost, I didn't think he had a snowball's chance in hell, but I liked him. But what happened during the primary season, Sarah, is I realized, you know, all of the rigging and all of that came out. And then I realized that there are certain things that we all have to agree on as the ground rules, right? Yeah. Regardless of who you support. We all have to agree that the elections should have some minimal dependability. So once they didn't have that, it was a game changer for me. I wasn't just gonna, you know, I'm never gonna go back to that person that I was, that I show up every 4 years and just vote for the Democratic candidate.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like, you know, Elizabeth Voss said it good. She said that hope is dying right now. Hope's dying. I read that article. It was very. But that's a good thing.
You know what? She's gonna sue. I can. Well, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. But yeah. Anyway.
We can talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
But
okay. I read that article.
Did you read the Podesta emails where Facebook's Sheryl Sandberg, it was an email between Sheryl Sandberg and John Podesta, claiming that she wanted Hillary to win badly. And then she said Sandberg also said she looked forward to working with Podesta to elect the first woman president. Do you not feel that's like blatant collusion with, you know, media?
So this is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. So let me see if I can find. Yes, first of all, they are colluding. The question is, do we have a legal claim for collusion? Yeah. Not all collusion gives rise to a legal claim. So let me hold on a second here. Right to assemble Constitution. So, okay, here it is. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, of abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Okay, so that's the right of people to assemble. The government, Congress shall make no law. So here's the question that I have for you. Companies like Facebook and Twitter will say, we're a private company. The First Amendment does not apply to us, okay? Because the First Amendment applies to government action. I'm just speaking in general terms. People get confused. They think, oh, the Bill of Rights, they apply to private entity. No, they don't. They apply to government action. So let me ask you, what happens when you have a private company like Facebook or Twitter? They're private, but they work like this with government.
Yeah.
Okay. I would put forth that in that situation, that private company, Facebook or Twitter, is no longer private. They are an agent of the government. They are not.
Yeah, they are.
So under agency law, which is very long, I would say that that is actually violating the First Amendment. Now, I don't know if any court has accepted that argument. And I don't know, I actually know if, Sarah, I don't even know if any lawyer or anybody has put forth that argument in court. I haven't really looked into it. But that's what I see. And to me, it seems pretty obvious because that's what government is doing.
I just feel so helpless. Like
Podesta and Facebook, government, private industry, working like this to abridge our rights.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Facebook has been pushing the Russia narrative, the Russian bots, you know, sharing. Do you know what that specific argument is that the DNC has been pushing out? Like, it's hard to pinpoint what their Russia narrative is regarding Russian involvement on Facebook, because there's so many different narratives, and I think that's why they have the advantage, because they push out so many different narratives through the media that it's hard to pinpoint what their actual argument is. They have like several, like there's the hacking of their servers, and then there's the Russian bots sharing content that is anti-DNC. And I'm pretty positive that anti-DNC material that Bernie was referencing, saying that he believes it's Russian bots, I believe that was people like me. Like, just straight up, I believe it was me. You know, the content that I was creating, I think he's saying that we're Russian bots. And so, you know, that was just another thing, you know, to make me not trust Bernie. Like,
so they say Russia, Russia, Russia. And if they're very specific, I would look into it more, but they're very vague.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, they say, oh, Russia hacked our servers, but they don't give any proof.
Yeah.
Here's the proof. So
they send it to CrowdStrike.
Russian Facebook bots. I'm like, okay. Do I think that interests outside of Americans try to influence American elections? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's not a secret, Sarah. I think ever since, Citizens United, you have super PACs that can grow enormously and do whatever the hell they want to do to try to influence our elections. And, you know, technically, I believe you have to be a U.S. citizen to donate to a super PAC. But let me ask you this. What happens if you're an American corporation that donates to a super PAC, but the American corporation is controlled by a foreign interest?
Yeah.
You know? So to the extent that anybody in the world can, you know, stick their fingers and try to influence American elections, I'm sure that happens. I don't know why the DNC
why isn't anybody holding the Clintons accountable for the Morocco money they got to go speak with the Moroccan king or royalty, whatever you call them? You know about that? I think it was 12 million. I'll have to look up the number for a one-time meeting. It was supposed to be a meeting with Clinton, but then Bill Clinton went instead.
When was this?
This was in the Podesta email, so I can send it to you
Oh,
later.
so it was before the election?
Yeah.
I would imagine nobody's paying to talk to the Clintons now. Gotta wonder why, if they're such fun people to talk to.
There is a little bit of justice in the world, just a little bit.
But it brings all of those donations into question. You're like,
yeah.
I want to make the world a better place, so I'm going to donate, a lot of money to the Clinton Foundation.
They don't use the word donation. They'll say speaking fee. Oh, it was a speaking fee.
Right. So she's such a great speaker. So you're donating so much money to hear this woman speak, and then are you donating any money to hear her speak now? No. So what the hell was that all about? It kind of brings all of those motivations into question.
Oh, and now people are donating so they can keep the status quo. Like they're donating just to keep, the lie alive. Like they're donating just because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. Like all the way down to the lowly Democrat, contributor, like the little people, they're still donating.
Are they really?
They are. I mean, not as much. Definitely not as much.
I'm sure some people donate, it's just not everybody. I mean,
they still think that they can elect progressives. And that's why I'm so anti, the sheepdogs, because they're trying to pretend that the Democratic Party is savable.
Well, they're still focused on policy. They're like, well, I like progressive policies rather than mainline Democratic policies. They're still hipped on like policies. I've moved on from policies. Because when you have certain ground rules are not what you thought they were, then I think that's a very fundamental flaw to the system.
I think the only way to save us right now is to document crimes from government employees, from corporations, document all the crimes. I think we need direct action, peaceful direct action, education of what is actually happening, battling the mainstream media. And we do that, not by censoring mainstream media, but by providing something better. So that's why I started Beam News, is so we can provide something better, new, unique ways to share information that work for us. Like I didn't want to start doing videos because I had too much anxiety to be in front of a camera. So that's why I started making memes for Bernie, because I wanted to help him, the way that I can. I want to talk about something else.
Now you're a pro.
Far from it. It took me like an hour just to get this video on. So, if that's what you want to call a pro.
Well, do you enjoy being on camera now? Are you used to it?
Oh, no. I've been here like twiddling my thumbs and tearing up sheets of paper. I'll get better at it. I never imagined that I would be leading a movement against the DNC, but here we are. 3.5 years ago, I made jewelry. Like I wasn't a political commentator. Like I was always told that I would never really be anything, and my opinion is not good enough. My opinion doesn't matter. I'd only be good at retail or, delivering pizzas. And I realized that I deserve better than that. And I want to show other women and other men and other, people that you don't have to be rich to have a voice. You don't have to be eloquent to have a voice. And I guarantee you, like, there really is no way to peacefully protest. Like, so many people tell me, just today, I shared the Nina Turner video, and people told me that, shamed me. They said that I was disrespectful to her. They said that I was unprofessional. And, I want to tell everybody watching, there is no wrong way to protest tyranny. There is no wrong way. As long as you're peaceful, and you put the work into it, there's no wrong way. So they're going to tell you,
don't listen to those trolls. They're just trolls.
How do you deal with them on Twitter? Like, I mean, I'm sure they go after you hard. Don't you? Do you just ignore them?
I have a long block list. What are you tweeting at me? And I'm like, click on them and like, you follow me. That is some nerve. You don't deserve my tweets. Block.
I'm going to try that out.
I block. I bet a lot of those aren't even real people. I'm beginning to wonder about that.
Well,
sophisticated
mentally they're not
programs.
there as a human being. Mentally they're not.
No, I'm talking about they're like AI bots.
Oh,
They're not even
really?
people. Yeah, they have very sophisticated programs now.
I was wondering about that. Why um why is Facebook, what do they actually think that they can do? I think they're trying to um they're saying they're going to revolutionize news, and they said they were recruiting women to battle fake news on Facebook. But I
Mm-hmm.
think really what that group is doing, I think what they're really doing is targeting people
Sending
like
naked
me.
pictures.
Huh?
Sending naked pictures.
No, I think what they're trying to do is silence voices of dissent,
Oh, I
silence the
see.
anti-establishment voices.
They're like a huge call center of troll, like a troll army
Yeah.
in a call center.
So how
Mm.
can Facebook say that they're a private company if they're uniting with all the other corporations to filter our news to tell us what we can and cannot see?
That's an interesting question, especially since they seem to be working very much hand in glove with political interests. That's an excellent question. I don't have the answer to that.
Well, I think it's something that we all need to be talking about more. Really appreciate you meeting with us. Is there anything that I can personally do, or people watching, to help you guys with any of your lawsuits, like sharing your content? I'll put your handle down below in the thing, because I want to help you guys from an outside standpoint. Like, I want to share your content. I want to help you however we can. From the outside, outside of all politics. I don't support any party. I don't support any candidate. I just want to help people like you. So if there's anything you ever need, you can just contact me. I'll make you memes. I'll, make videos, whatever you need. I have
That's
your,
very
you
nice.
have my support.
Yes, well, I still have the meme you made of a CNN appearance.
I'm serious. Anytime you're on camera, I'll make a meme for you. If it's a really good one, you got me.
Oh man, that CNN appearance. Let me tell you, Sarah, when that happened, I was really pissed off. That appearance makes me so happy. Sometimes when I'm feeling real pissed off,
It was
sometimes
so
I'll just
inspiring. I
run.
saw that, and I think I was jumping up and down and screaming, and my husband's like, "What is your problem?" I was like,
That was
"Something just
so
amazing
funny.
happened."
That was so that was so funny. I still remember. You can't see anything, or I had hearing problems.
Well,
I
they'll
didn't even
do
know I
anything
was
they
on.
can to
I
make
didn't
you
even know
look
I
bad.
was on TV, man. That was
Yeah.
great. I thought they were like, why am I sitting here in the dark? What did they call me in for? I didn't even know I was on. I was like, I think the show started. They don't tell you anything.
So,
But what the funny thing about that appearance was? Sorry, I want to harp
go
on.
ahead.
If you look at the guy on the bottom left,
Yeah.
he's like,
Who's that?
oh man, that just goes to show you what a shit show it is over there.
Yeah, all of it's a shit show. At least you got on air, though. They would never put me on air. So, you're inspiring.
They only put me on there because I had a trial against Donald Trump before he became president.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was why I'm on their radar, and I took his deposition twice. You want to hear? Yeah, he ran out of the room like a big baby. And so that's yeah, I didn't really talk about it. I was kind of pissed off then too, because I had traveled all the way up to New York to take his deposition, right? Because at deposition, nobody really likes depositions because you have to sit there and you have to answer questions, and a lawyer grills you for up to 7 hours. I wouldn't say it's a fun thing, but it happens in lawsuits. And the New York Times contacted me, and they were, doing research on Donald Trump and his lawsuits. And I talked to them. I'll talk to anybody. And I was just giving them facts. And the New York Times said, what happened at this deposition? And so I told him, and Jared was there too. And Jared told them. And they said, he ran out of the room. Can we talk about it on our paper? And I'm like, sure. He ran out of the room. So they ran the story on A1. which is the front page of the New York Times. In hindsight, I think they were doing it just to sway the election.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they ran the story. All hell broke loose. CNN had me on. MSNBC had me on. Chris Hayes had me on. So it was a little bit of a media circus, and then it died down. And then Donald Trump got elected president. And then with the DNC fraud, Sarah, I contacted the New York Times because I'm like, there's like election rigging to that. And that reporter blocked me on Twitter. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is so much. But Sarah, this is the events underpinning the DNC fraud lawsuit is so much more fundamentally important than Donald Trump running out of a deposition.
Yeah.
Which is immature, but you know what I mean?
Oh.
Does this make any sense? And yet they would run that story, but they would not run the DNC fraud lawsuit. They would not cover it at all. And he blocked me on Twitter. That's when I realized I'm a source. You called me on my cell phone, Mikey Barbaro, and the New York Times blocked me. That's when I realized, they were just pissed off because their little plot didn't work. Okay?
Yeah.
Instead of just reporting stories, their little plot didn't work, so they were very angry.
That makes
my attitude is let it all come out.
Now that I know the whole story of what happened. Okay, I gotta tell you, the DNC fraud protest, we were tricked. I was tricked by BBC UK.
Okay.
His name, the guy's name was Charlie Mole. And I thought at first that it was funny because Charlie Mole sounds like, a fake name.
Yeah. What did they do?
I looked him up. He said he got my name and email from somebody else associated with one of the other DNC lawsuits. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, she's a little bit credible with that. Okay. So I looked him up. He looked legit. Mm-hmm. He's from BBC UK. And, people told me, that's the CNN of the UK. So be careful. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay. And I told him, if you lie or if you don't share what we give you accurately, we will call you out. Sure. But what he wanted, he wanted me to invite him to the DNC fraud protest in Washington, the one that you spoke at over the phone. And
what's his name again?
Charlie Mole, M-O-L-E.
Oh, there's a check mark here. I wonder if this TV producer, director, and journalist found you, Charlie Mole. I'm going to tweet at him.
He told me that it was
Charlie Mole, you dipshit.
He told me that it was to share. He wanted to document it and do a story called Murder in Washington.
And I are talking shit about you right now. You don't mind this tweet, do you?
No.
Are talking shit about you right now. 8:13 p.m. EST. Would you agree that he's a dipshit?
He is. I think he's
a dipshit to you.
He's a dipshit. All right. He pretended to be something that he wasn't. He pretended that it was called, the documentary was called, I still have the paper I signed too. It said Murder in Washington, the story of Seth Rich. He told me he wanted to get the real story.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know me, I have documentation of everything that I've researched.
What did you sign?
I signed a paper saying that he can film me and use my image and use the protest and that I don't talk about it until after it airs. And I abide by everything he wanted me to do. But then when I saw it, I was very, very unhappy with it because it was like an hour-long video, and he was there at our protest, and I handed him a physical copy, a physical binder of all the crimes of the Democratic Party, and especially everything that I've researched about Seth Rich's death. Everything. I mean, I even had like printouts of Sean Lucas's report. Everything that you've reported, everything I found from Matt Couch. It was full. Anyway, so I watched this hour-long documentary, which was 99% Russiagating propaganda. He even interviewed a former DNC staffer, like privately. You know those interviews where it's like dim room, and the light shining on them, and they look like, you know, professional and respected. You know, where they called us, they called people that research Seth Rich, they called us parasites. And then immediately after that clip of the DNC staffer calling us parasites, then he showed a 20-second clip of our protest. And I sent you that in the email too. So you can check that, and I'll put that in the link below so everybody watching can see it. But I was so hurt, and I was so offended.
Yeah, you can't trust. I mean, they're just like, I swear to God, like to me, journalists are kind of like lawyers. There are some that I consider them to be like, in the type of professions where courage may be required. I think journalists are right up there. And same thing with law enforcement, same thing with some lawyers, although not as much. Lawyers, we don't put our life on the line. But some journalists do. They go into war zones. But I got to tell you, God, some of them are snakes.
They're slimy. And so I emailed him because I was not done with him. I emailed him, and his email had been deleted. So then
What?
Yeah, and he's.
How do you know? You got a bounce back?
I emailed him, and it came back, and it was deleted. The email.
Was it like some weird Gmail account, or was it like a BBC account? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it. I have it in my records somewhere. I can look it up. But so then I found a number. I had to call. He lives I think in Ireland or somewhere. He lives somewhere else. So I found the number to his company and called him repeatedly. He finally answered. And then he told me that he doesn't have time to talk to me and to email him back at the email that he originally emailed me at. And I said, actually, it's been deleted. I was like, I can't email you back because your email had been deleted. And then he hung up on me.
What a weasel.
And so I sent him a text.
Oh my God. I wish this were live. I'm like tweeting at him.
Yeah, it's recording. So, and then I'll share it.
Sarah, you have to put this interview up.
This is the first time I've ever really said this, on camera. I was live streaming when this happened, and I was calling him live streamed on Facebook, but now since then my account's been deleted. So I lost that video.
Oh, that's
funny
fine.
How that works.
I personally believe that if somebody is like a snake or a weasel to you, as sometimes you feel very betrayed. I think it's important to call that shit out. That's what I think.
On the DNC fraud Twitter page, I've called him out numerous times and tagged him in it, and showed his photo.
He doesn't like that.
Well, he can deal with it because if he's gonna, promote propaganda, I mean, I literally handed him content and then gave him the link so he could access it later. So there's no reason that he would put propaganda in his video unless that was his only intention.
Right. And yeah, I personally don't blame any journalist for not covering a story. I get a little bit irritated, but I'm like, well, I don't control you. But I do get irritated when they suck up your time.
Yeah.
And interview you.
Yeah.
And then when they do put something out, it's they instead
has
of
no integrity.
Instead of just telling the story, they come out and say something like, well, look at this crackpot. And I just think that if you do shit like that, yeah, I mean, I think you need to get called the hell out. Because I had Sky News at our house interview me. A whole crew showed up, 2 camera people, and an anchor all the way from England. They showed up at our house. They set up their gear, and they interviewed me about the whole Trump brouhaha. And you know what? I'm sure they were trying to, in hindsight, I'm sure they were trying to maybe, I actually don't know if they were trying to sway the election against Trump. I really don't know. But I saw the video. It had a lot of commentary, but it wasn't, I mean, I think they did try to cover the story of the rise of Trump in the United States, and I had like a bit part in it. So I don't have issues with that kind of reporting. But I do have issues like your experience with this guy at the BBC, which
Yeah.
is they suck up your time, they waste your time, they throw you under the bus, they add a
I
lot
mean,
of
we considered it like a courtesy to let him come
right,
and see.
right.
Like, I spent thousands of dollars to go there. You know, I don't make any money, so we, you know, sucked our savings to do this, and then for him to use our generosity to show him what we're trying to do, and to discredit me and what we're doing, and, you know, Cassandra Fairbanks and everybody that researches, you know, around Seth Rich. All they're doing when they produce that kind of crap is, you know, trying to shame people for looking for the truth. And, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
I just feel like if more people knew about what he did, then maybe they'll hold him accountable. At least send him a tweet, you know.
Oh,
But
I don't know. I personally think that there's really no hope for dipshits.
there isn't.
So once a dipshit, always a dipshit. So you gotta just move on. Just be like, you're a dipshit and just move on.
I think I'll tweet him
But
that today.
I bet the fact.
Move on.
Let me tell you, Sarah. I bet he uses the fact that he's affiliated with the BBC to pull a lot of stunts.
But he does.
Yeah, so you gotta watch out for people like that. You know.
Well, the thing is, you know, I'm still new to activism. I've only been an activist for a few years, and you just have to do it and learn from your mistakes. You know, learn who you can trust and who you can't.
I don't know if you can really. I think like I don't know if trust should even be like a firm thing, because I personally think that sometimes people's intentions are good, but their spine is weak.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's kind of you're just setting yourself up for disappointment if you have a lot of high expectations. That's just kind of like, you know, my things. I don't know if I actually like trust anybody, because, you know, you can trust somebody to show up on time, but they won't, and it doesn't mean that they're trying to betray you. They're just like scatterbrained, you know. So I just like, you know, these press people, Sarah, they don't want to get fired. You know, they just have a job. And if you go up the food chain, there's somebody up there that's controlling the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to go counter to the big boss. They might not even be conscious of that. I was talking to a journalist one time. I forget where he was working at. And I'm like, everybody's biased. You're biased. And he's like, I'm not biased. And he sounded very defensive. I'm like, of course you're biased. If you're not biased, your boss certainly is. You would never run a story that goes counter to like whatever belief the guy who's running your media empire believes. And he disputed me. I'm like, wow, you know, you should just admit it.
See, that's the great thing about, you know, meme news. We're uniting independent media that identify with both left and right. You know, we have a lot of Trump supporters, but we also have a lot of Greens and a lot of progressives and a lot of even anti-government people like me. I think it's good to bring all of those voices together, because it takes out as much bias as possible by uniting all those voices together and showing that there's a whole picture rather than just one person's point of view, you know. So with meme news, I make this content for people. I make, you know, I'll read a comment, I'll read an article, I'll watch a video from somebody like Holly Seeliger or Elizabeth Voss or Katie Johnstone, and I'll say, I'll say, this is a message that needs to be shared. So I'll share it. I'll, you know, put their Twitter handle on there. I'll put their link on there and their photo. And I want to show people that you can share news, you can share information, but you don't have to control the narrative. Like if you just share, you know, all the voices combined. So like with our meme newsletter, I don't tell any contributor what to post or what to share, you know. They do it at their own pace, and then I share that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's going to give us an edge to, you know, make mainstream media irrelevant.
I think that when push comes to shove, Sarah, you know, you may have a particular point of view, but it's Sarah's point of view, and you're very independent.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, having that independence is really priceless.
Yeah, it is. I
know
wouldn't
it's hard.
give it
It's
up for
hard.
anything in the
I
world.
know.
It's hard though.
I can imagine it's very hard.
It's not hard to be outside the system. That part's the easy part. The hard part is
It's
other people
fortunate.
telling me what I need to say and be and what I need to do and how I need to operate. And I'm like, no. And the hard part is telling them, you know, people have issues with the boundaries. Like they feel like they can control your narrative if they shame you or harass you enough.
They're doing that because they see your influence.
Yeah.
That's all. So the more
and those same people are the people that, you know, they'll make fun of me for selling shirts, or they'll make fun of me for asking for donations and stuff. And it took about a year. It took me about a year to get confident to even ask for donations, because I felt like I needed to have something worthy of donations, like a rounded, you know. Anyway, but
sure.
You're breaking up a little.
I
what?
love your shirt.
Oh,
I love your shirt.
I actually helped design it. Yeah.
Who helped you design? Did you design it?
I had a friend. We're actually not friends right now anymore, but maybe she'll come back around one day. But I really love it. I think it's one of those things that you can't duplicate. Like I think the establishment, like the reason they have trouble connecting with people is because it's not coming from a real grassroots effort. You know, it's just I feel like they're too professional. Like they're too
fake.
They're too fake. They're too make believe. You know, like a graphic designer thought of it. You know, like
no, they're like all slicked up, and they're like, "Hi, baby, vote for me."
Yeah, I've actually had people shame me, saying I am too fat to protest, or I'm too ugly.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay. People say all sorts of things to try to cut you down. When I showed up on CNN, people started making fun because like they got really vicious on Twitter because of my makeup. Like they started making fun of my.
It's freezing a little bit.
I'm like, you know, people make fun of my makeup. It's like ugly face with ugly contouring. People say all sorts of things.
Well, I think you're beautiful, and I don't think you need makeup. You're so inspiring to me. I don't want to take your whole day up.
That's very sweet of you.
But
okay.
Just whenever you need anything.
You're beautiful to me. I always cheer up when I see you.
Same to you.
Yeah. I kind of wish there were like, you know, like 500,000 of you. But the fact that
that's the goal. That's my goal. I tell people.
I'm actually very upset because there's actually only one of you, and I don't think that bodes well. That's not a good sign.
I feel like if I create a leader in myself, then I'll create other leaders. I feel like if I show them how to be a leader and how to have integrity, then I feel like that'll give people more incentive to want to do it too. If I show people how to protest peacefully and show them how to stand up for myself, then that's the only way to go forward.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Sarah. And
thank you. I appreciate it.
So we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, I'll probably tweet you after this.
Oh, that's fine. So I'll share it. So where is this video gonna go on? Is it gonna?
It's gonna go on Facebook, Twitter, Gab. It's gonna go on everything. So if you follow me on one, you'll get it.
I gotta get on Gab again. I haven't gotten on Gab in a while.
I try and do a rotation. So I'll put out a newsletter every Monday, and then I'll put that out on rotation on Gab, MeWe, Facebook, and I'll just do. If I post something on Twitter, it's guaranteed it's going to be posted on all my platforms, because that's the only way to keep it going.
I know. It's like I need 10 hands, you know?
Yeah. You get in a habit after a while. It becomes easier. But people, they need to learn how to research, and they need to learn how to share content. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you ever need a message to get out, just send me a PM, okay?
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice holiday weekend.
You too.